Okay, so I rebuilt a few of my cars so I can try to make them a bit more competitive. I did very poorly for BMAX, unfortunately, but hopefully this will do a bit better in the next race. So I changed it to 24mm wheels, low friction. It's running a Mac Dash now. Now it's on 4:1 ratio because I'm just giving that a try. I've never tried that before. Seems to be people use 4:1 a lot on small diameter wheels. So I'm just gonna give it a try. Not entirely sure what will happen, and I have extra angle on the front of mine, and I'm using one single plate instead of two. Hopefully that's enough, but this is just an experimental build. Hopefully this does well. But the Victory Magnum, I decided to rebuild it a little bit just to adjust a few things. So I used to use one of those wide AR plates that looks like this. No, sorry, not like this. Sorry. Where is it? Where did it go? That used to look like this. So I used to have it on the rear. I don't think I'm going to be using other rollers in the future, so I'm just going to stick to 17. Now, I used a popsicle, and I mounted it on the 90mm hole. So when you put this inside a checkbox, the rear is actually a little bit, there's actually quite a bit of play in the rear now. So hopefully this thing corners a bit faster, because when I raced this, yes, although my motor was not broken in, I did feel like my car was a little bit slow. So I think I'm just gonna do this in the future just to see what it does for the speed. Hopefully it picks up a bit faster, and it's also a bit lighter as well since it's just using one single popsicle. Also, furthermore, if I want to shorten the roller base, I simply move the popsicle a bit more forward, so I can have a shorter roller base if I want. But for now, I have it closer to the rear. And I'm still using the same side stays. I'm just using one single weight. I increased the weights. I used to use a bowl, and now I'm just using the big round bowl at the rear. And at the front, I decided to add 2 weights just by having 2 screws right on the cowl, fully cowled plate. And now I have 2 slimline dampeners at the front, so there's a little bit more. It's a little bit more balanced, I suppose. And yeah, that's basically all I really did. I think this will run a bit... Oh, I also switched out the maroon tires for my super hard Japan Cup 2024 wheels, just to get a bit more grip. I have a feeling that maybe the maroon tires wasn't giving me the grip I needed for the car to pick up in speed. I did outrun a few people. However, the only reason why I outran them was because when their car was landing and jumping and braking, it got caught a few times, and therefore it kept accumulating, and therefore I sped ahead of them. So it wasn't because my car was a lot faster, it was just because their car got caught a few times. I myself crashed quite a number of times on the Magnum, so I don't blame it. It's tricky sometimes. So this is my Easy Gear Easy Cover Lock. This is really cool. I really like having this feature on the Super 2. It allows me to check the maintenance very easily. And this is my counter gear. I added 2 washers to it. So now I have 2 washers with on top of the 620 bearing, and I believe, because I'm not familiar with my gear ratios. So the light blue, which is what that is a 3.5 gear ratio, and the green is 3.7. And then the other gear ratios are here. The black is the 4.1, and this is the 4.2, and then the dark blue one, that's the 5.1 gear ratio. That's really, really cool. I wish I can use that one day. Hopefully I can. And then, yeah. So let's take apart the build. It's actually a bit oily because I oiled the motor before the race, just to give it a bit more kick. And the reason why is because since this is a brand new motor, I didn't really have time to... I break in my motors mostly by playing, not really by using any particular method. So I just oiled up the motor, and just hopefully the speed was acceptable, and it did okay. But I think this will be a lot faster now that I've raced this a few times. And now let's take a look at the propeller shaft. So when I'm filming this video is actually because I want to check up on some maintenance, just to see if there is anything I need to do. So this is the propeller shaft. There's a tiny bit of play, just the smallest amount of play. I can barely feel it with my fingers, but there is a tiny bit of play. So, I don't think there's any maintenance that I really need to do here, but just in case, I'm just gonna add a bit of oil on the areas where it's resting on the chassis. This is a carbon reinforced chassis. When you buy the Victory Magnum, it comes with it. At least the version that I got comes with it. I bent a little bit of the, I bent this contact piece so that there's a slightly less play between this and the switch. Because earlier on, for some odd reason, the switch wasn't very sensitive. So I decided to try to bend the switch, try to have a bit more tension. So when I turn it, so it's actually a bit clicky now. It didn't do that, or it didn't do that before. So okay, I think this is mostly fine. I don't see anything here that's particularly off. So I'm just gonna leave it. I decided that the internals are just gonna stay the same. To be honest, even with the easy lock gear cover, it's very likely that, why wasn't this going in? With the even with this easy lock gear cover, for the most part, I don't think I'll be taking this apart all that much, just because like I don't really know what more I can really do, to be honest with you. So it's using a fluorine shaft as well. I forgot to mention that. And when you buy a fluorine shaft, it's kind of nice because they give you two, so you can actually have two different cars using a fluorine shaft. So which is, I have a fluorine shaft in the VZ. Now I index the cover. I really like this easy lock thing. If you ever need to check up on the car, super easy. Okay, so I'm just gonna quickly put some batteries in just to see if I'm gonna put the motor bracket back in as well. So this is the Super 2 motor bracket. The packaging for this thing was super old. I'm not even sure if I'm using the right thing, but so this is what on these batteries are not fully charged, but that's okay. So this is what it sounds like. Sounds pretty gentle. Torque tuned motors in general, they sound very gentle, in my opinion. Not sure if that's a good or a bad thing, but so far, hopefully this Super 2 is a lot faster now. I'm really curious to put this on a track to see what's performing like now, because I cleaned out some of the stuff. I cleaned it a bit more. I put a super hard tire that's a little bit grippier than the maroon tire now. I think the speed should be a little bit better. I also, because the 17mm roller is on the 19mm hole, I presume that this will corner a bit faster as well. This is kind of a trick I learned from a friend. So, and the mass dampeners, hopefully it actually settles a bit better. So, in terms of the brake clearance, I'm thinking in the future I might try to run this. Look at how mangled my blue brake is. It was working very hard. But I had a blue brake over here as well when I was racing. It kept touching the bank though, so in a perfect world, I want to see if I can run this build with a brakeless rear if possible. Because it's on a torque tune race, typically speaking, you won't be encountering a lot of high jumps, I don't think. It just so happened to be that on that race that this got third place, there was quite a few high jumps. It survived every single time, but that being said, it wasn't perfect. Because there was like a short jump where this didn't do it perfect. But let's give it a quick weigh. So this used to be about 137 grams. I would imagine now that this is a tiny bit lighter now. So it's barely lighter. Oh, that's because I added front weight. So it's now 136.23 grams. So it's not super heavy, but it's just to put things into perspective. This DCR01 that was running really fast in the race, it was really fast. 141.58 grams. This is really fast. Because it has a motor that I've been running for 7 months. I've been racing it a lot, and the motor is really well broken in, and it's just going really well. But I had to change the weights because the thing wasn't jumping very well. So I now have a longer screw, and now I increased the weights because clearly what I had before was not enough. Anyways, so now let's take a look at the VZ to see if there's anything I need to maintain. Wait, why did the scale change? So it's 122.99 grams. So it's basically 123 grams, basically. And I did change something already. I add a hard spring on the rear because when it was going down tabletops, sometimes I wanted to go perfectly straight, whereas sometimes it was doing this. So I added a hard spring at the rear because I think it's because the rear was not resetting properly. The sliding dampener was not resetting as quickly as it could. So I put a hard spring now. So now both the front and the rear, they're both using hard springs. That's about the only major difference I've done. I also changed the mass dampeners at the rear to use stacked. I'm using a stacked, looks like a little bullet. Where did I drop in? The rubber thing, put that there. And now let's take a look at the maintenance of the internals. I have not changed anything since I assembled this. So let's see where everything is at. So this is it's using a screw for the VZ chassis. And now the VZ chassis is a little bit tricky. There's like a little tab at the rear and then a little tab at the bottom. And there's like a little tab in the rear as well. I don't know how people take this off quickly, but this is how I do it. I'm not an expert. I don't really know what I'm doing, so don't take everything what I say as professional advice. Now this is a 3.7 gear ratio. The only reason why I'm using 3.7 is because I don't have 3.5. That's the only reason. I don't have 3.5 right now. This is all I got. Because I bought this VZ chassis standalone, so I had to buy all the parts separately. It's really annoying. I don't get why this is so difficult to take out sometimes. So that's the VZ chassis with a 620 bearing and a 2 shims and a flooring shaft. 3.7 gear ratio. So this is the torque tune motor that I've been using. It should be fully broken in now, now that I've used it for a while. So earlier on before I arrived on the race, I actually practiced a lot on this VZ chassis because I was really curious about the sliding dampener. The sliding dampener actually gave me a lot of problems. Without these little red things, these are the angle roller plates. Without these, it would not clear a lane changer. I also swapped this from a soft spring to a hard spring in order for it to clear course. So I was fooling around with this by quite a bit because I had a lot of issues trying to figure out exactly what to do with the sliding dampeners. Because this is the very first time I actually ran a sliding dampener in an actual race, by the way. Now for the front cover. See, this is why I don't like single shaft motors. It's because all the chassis is so difficult to take apart. The MA is so much simpler. This is the reason why I did not cut my nails yet, is because I need my nails to take apart my single shaft motors. Single shaft builds. So let me see. So the propeller shaft, I just want to see what it's like. Okay, so I did hammer in both ends a little bit. There's just a tiny bit of play. Okay, that should be fine. Just a tiny bit. It's not touching the center post of the spur gear and the crown gear. This should be fine. Okay, I don't think there needs to be any maintenance here. Seems to be perfectly fine. Don't see any issues. So I'm just gonna put this back now. I was expecting there to be something amiss, but I guess not. There's probably other things that I can do to improve the transmission. I just don't really know what those are, to be honest with you. Because with B-Max, you can't trim any gears or anything like that. So the only thing you can do is basically assemble the car and hope for the best. It's pretty much the only thing you can do. Oh, yeah, right. I'm not entirely sure if I'm doing this in the right order, to be honest with you. So that's the... Perfect. So the motor's seated in. Turns, okay, that's good. Okay, so everything works. Everything works the way I think it is. Or at least I hope the way it is. Put the motor holder back in. I don't actually know if there's like an upgrade for a motor holder, because this thing does seem a little bit loose, but it seems to be... I see people use it, so it must be necessary. I see the pros use it, so I think that should be fine. So don't tighten it too much, because you don't want to strip the plastic. This is not a reinforced chassis. Even though it's red, it's not reinforced. It's just a regular ABS chassis. Just be careful. Now let's turn it on. So this is 3.7 gear ratio. The batteries are not fully charged. It actually doesn't sound as nice as the Super 2. I feel like the Super 2 sounds a bit nicer. Okay. So in terms of speed, I don't think there's any major issues with this, because it actually seems relatively fast. Even though it's on 3.7 gear ratio, it wasn't doing bad. It wasn't doing bad at all. So I think I'm just gonna keep it like this. So now I have two single shaft motors that I can run on my tuned races for fun. This is just purely for fun, not for anything else. I don't know if this is the optimal build. I have no idea if it is, but it's just a lot of fun. I really like playing around with sliding dampeners. I just think there's some potential here that I want to try to explore, and I don't want to explore on a hyperdash, because hyperdash I'm just going to destroy everything. So I'm going to start with torque tuned and then work my way up slowly with sliding dampeners. So yeah, that's it for the video, guys. Thank you guys for watching and staying all the way. Turns out I didn't need to do much maintenance at all. I will oil the motors before the race, but other than that, everything here is just gonna basically stay the same, because I think it works quite well. I hope the Magnum does better, because third place is pretty good. This was very, very close. I had a few good luck races, of course. I had a guy like crashed, and then his wheel, and then another guy where his wheel came off right before the finish line. Like, I could not believe my luck. Like, my luck with the Victory Magnum is unbelievable. Anyways, peace.